Hello. Since we are not able to meet in person and we have a lot going on with our property that we have purchased, I wanted to just give everybody kind of an update on where we are at, where we are going, and kind of what the plan is. So this is a photo of the property looking from Glencoe Road. If you come into the church, it's actually hanging on the wall now. But this is our future home. This is looking east from Glencoe Road. So this is where our property is located. So the photo is looking about here. This is Glencoe Road. This is Evergreen Road. This is Evergreen Christian Center. So we are just to the north of them. There's a road called Zimmerman Lane, just on the north side of our property if you're driving out there. We own about 5 acres. It's right at 5 acres. And if you're looking, there's a fake tree in the back corner of the Christian Center's lot, and we own to beyond that. So that is where we are located. So we are not at the intersection. We do also have an access, or there's an easement on the lot that accesses off of Evergreen back to our back corner of our lot. We have an easement there that's part of the adjoining property. So here's kind of the schedule of where we are. So we purchased the property in May, and right now we're working on the preliminary design work. Some of you may have seen that contract with a firm. They're going to go out and survey the property to determine exactly where the property lines are, what all the elevations are, where all the utilities are, so we can then use that to do the design. Then we'll be doing some preliminary design work, laying out where everything will be on the property. And we need to do that for our preliminary land use application. So we'll be determining where we want the building, all of the parking, kind of the layout of the building. I've got some ideas that we'll see in a little bit, but we'll get into a lot more detail on that so then we can do our land use application. So we have to have, what size building we're going to be in, because then they use that to determine how many people, which is used to determine how much parking, and to determine if our septic system works, which we all need to know before we get into our land use application. One of the other things we need to do is we need to have a neighborhood meeting. We will probably hold that here. Once we have a layout, we need to show the neighbors what we're going to do, and it's everyone within a certain distance of the property, and we have to invite them. We have to document that we've invited them before we go to our land use hearing. We need to have a pretty good idea what we're going to build when we show it to the neighbors, so that it's relatively the same of what we end up building. So we need to have a pretty good idea before we have that. So the engineering firm that we hired is going to be doing the survey starting here. I'm actually meeting with them next Monday to talk about it. They're supposed to be done in the middle of July. Then we'll do some layout work, kind of figure out where we're going to be. We have to have our septic system approved, which means the county needs to go out and do some testing of the soil. So that takes a few weeks for them to get out there and do that. And then we need to put the application package together and review it. And part of what we hired that engineering firm to do is they're going to take a final look at what we've done to make sure that try to make sure that it's complete when we submit it. So we have to have the neighborhood meeting. We have to have it less than a month before we submit the application. So then hopefully by the middle of October, we will submit the application to Washington County for their review. So they will start the review. They have 30 days to determine if we're complete. Once they've determined we're complete, they have 150 working days to evaluate, have staff give comments, then schedule a hearing with a hearings officer. This will be open to the public. Anybody is welcome to come and testify. So we'll have a chance to present there. Sometimes things go multiple hearings with the hearings officer, and then they have the hearings officer will render their decision on whether they think we should be granted the conditional use permit. And they publish that opinion, and then there's a period of time where public can appeal that opinion. So that can be up to 150 days. If it's appealed, then it starts a whole nother process. And we really don't expect that to happen, but that would be beyond this. So after that, worst case scenario, that's in the middle to end of next April at the worst case. So after that, we will work on final design drawings, so exact grades, finishing up the building. For the first stuff, we don't need to have the mechanical and electrical figured out for the building. So for the permit, for the building permit, we'll have to get the mechanical and electrical all figured out for the building, and as well as all the design for the site done and all the grading, and have a landscape architect do their design. So we'll get all of that finished and drawings done. While we're doing that as well, we'll work with selecting a contractor and use it at selecting that contractor to know exactly how much it's going to cost to get everything built, and getting our financing in order so that when we get our permits, that we can afford to pay the contractor. So working out exactly what the funding is and everything. So, and we can select a contractor. So we'll probably be talking to one or two contractors, or maybe more, but we'll talk to them and get some ideas on pricing and things we can do. Part of it, what we can do and how willing they are to work with us. So, and then so we'll submit the permit application probably about the end of August next year. The county, there's a number of different groups we need to talk to at the county, so we'll be getting a building permit. We have to get a permit to go out in the street and tie into the street. So those take different amounts of time. So we'll have to put in a well, we have to put in a septic system. So anticipated late next year, November, December timeframe, we'll get all of our permits in place and be able to start construction. And I've got roughly 7 months shown for constructing it. So that's kind of the schedule. So this is kind of a blow up of the property. It's not the greatest. I took the aerial photo that I showed you earlier and zoomed in, but roughly this yellow line and then this line, that's roughly the limits of our property. There was talk of whether we access off Zimmerman Lane. That is a private road, so we would have to negotiate with the 3 property owners that own that. So looked at, rather than do that, and then we'd have to do improvements there, just take our access off of Glencoe Road. The county's already told us that we'd have to dedicate 15 feet of property at the front, so, but we don't have to do frontage improvements, which is a good thing. So just looking at a driveway coming back in, a parking lot, that's about 120 stalls based on a roughly 70 by 140 foot building. I've done some rough calculations. I mean, this will be about 480 people could be in that building based on building code. So for that, we need about 120 parking stalls. That includes ADA parking stalls and everything. And that's roughly the size it would be. Once we actually have all of the survey information, we can figure out exactly where everything would be. So it leaves us room for other improvements. We need to do some stormwater system up here. We need to put a well on. We need a septic system. And then we have quite a bit of room left at the back of the property for future expansion. So if we want to put a building back there in the future. So that's kind of the rough layout. So some of you may have seen a layout of the church itself that I've done based on some building sizes that are available. So Glencoe Road is out this way. And this is a rough layout, and if people have comments, I'm happy to take comments. So looking at it, a church, the sanctuary is here. It's roughly 40 feet wide by 70 feet. And to give you an idea, that's about the same width as the current room we're in, but it's about 15 foot longer than where the sound room is. So it's past the back of the sound room. So I have a nice wide hallway here with 4 restrooms, a closet. This would be the nursery with a room here for either sleeping or nursing mothers to be able to go into. A large toddler room, a large kitchen area, a mechanical room for our furnace or furnaces, water heaters, electrical, plumbing, and all of that. And then a storage room for tables and all of that. and then 4 classrooms for first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, teens, college and career as we have them now. Um, you know, they're just classrooms. A large garage door here, which I'll get into in a minute, an office for pastor, and then 2 other offices. And then hallway here. I looked at doing a garage door here so that if we have a patio area out here, if we have fellowships, and this is all fellowship area here, that we could open that door and enjoy going out this way if it's a nice day. So, and then also if we put a future building back here, it might be a way for people to go back and forth between. So that's a rough layout. I'll be talking to an architect, and we'll maybe tweak that as well. So, but it's a rough idea that this size building will work for us, and it's a little more room than we have now with the main building and the annex. So it'll work for us for quite a while. And I'm sure an architect will have improvements on it, and there's some code things that I'm not aware of that will get updated. So, and then this is one firm that I've been talking to. This was their rendering of it. So this would be the side away from Glencoe Road with some doors in it. And then this was a metal building. And then this would be the side towards Glencoe Road, and then the back. We would probably do a sidewalk down the back for people coming out and around, and then we'd have sidewalk all across the front with parking. And then I'm imagining some sort of signage on this end of the building towards Glencoe Road, and then some sort of signage up at Glencoe Road we'd be allowed to do. So that's roughly the plan now. We'll be refining this as we move forward in the next few months. Hopefully we're back together and we can have a discussion about this in person as we move forward. But I know some people have given ideas already. I'm happy for input. So if you see something you would like or something you don't like, I'm happy to take suggestions and let me know, or Pastor know, or Scott. So that's roughly the plan. A lot of the details for the inside we don't need to resolve right now. As once we are through land use, we'll need those. But if you have ideas, shoot them to me now so that we have them and we know what we're looking forward to. So with that, thank you, and hopefully this was helpful.
All right, Ken, thank you so much for that update. I want to just thank you for all the work that you've already put into it. I really appreciate it. It's been a lifesaver, and I know that all of our people found that very informative. But I did want to address Corridor Baptist Church and just let you know as far as where we are in this process right now. If we bring that chart up, the preliminary design and planning is where we are right now. That's what we're trying to collect that $60,000 for. Now, to date, we've collected nearly $15,000. So we still need to collect about $55,000 so that we can get all that done, get it paid off. We can pay the firm who's doing all of the surveying of the property and all the preliminary things, and so that we can also apply for our conditional use permit, pay for that permit. All of that is going to cost us around $60,000. And as I said, we've collected 15 so far. Praise the Lord for that. But we still need to collect about 45,000. I think I said 45 before. But anyways, about 45,000 is what is left. And we just need to keep praying. We need to keep committing ourselves, keep sacrificing. And we know that the Lord is going to do great things as far as this goes. When we finish this preliminary planning part of it, then we're going to start really getting into the heart of it. But we have to go through this first, just so we can have permission to move forward with the rest of the things on this property. So as I already challenged you, keep praying, keep being committed, and also continue to give. We're going to have to give sacrificially so that we can get this done and get this taken care of. And the Lord's going to get all the glory. He's going to get all the credit as He helps us to overcome all of these hurdles that we are going to have to overcome. But according to our calculations and our goals and what we believe the Lord can do, we're looking at being in a new building in 2 years. So looking forward to that. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask Ken about those. He'd be more than happy to answer those for you. Any suggestions, you can also filter those to him. Or, I'm sorry, funnel those to him, and he'd be able to tell you why we can't, or why we maybe can implement some of these suggestions that you have. All right, well, praise the Lord for it. It's a very exciting time here at Corridor Baptist Church. Looking forward to going through it with each and every one of you. And prayerfully, our next update is going to be in person and not on a video. All right, take care for now.